Hello and welcome to the Tournament Center here at Pro Tour Eldritch Moon in Sydney, Australia. I'm Brady Marshall. I am joined by a gleeful Randy Bueller as we are about to watch the draft of Luis Scott-Vargas at one of the most stacked draft tables we've ever seen on the Pro Tour. It's an old truism, but someone has to go 0-3 at this draft table. Everyone sitting around this table is hoping it is not them.
True.
Although almost anyone at this table, even with an 0-3, could potentially still make top 8 in standard, but that's a story for another set of rounds. Let's take a look at what Luis Scott-Vargas had to cope with in this draft. Here we see him looking at his opening pack, and he has early on zeroed in on a Foul Emissary. There's an Eternal Scourge. There's an Uvenwald Captive.
Yeah, I know Luis is a fan of the blue-green Emerge deck, so Foul Emissary is, I mean, it's a good card in that deck. It heads him off in a direction that I think he would like to be, all other things being equal.
Geist of the Archives is an interesting card. Ironclad Slayer card I've liked a lot, but he
Foul Emissary
clearly wants to be, that's a pretty strong indication that he wants to be in the Emerge plan and first picks a Foul Emissary.
Yeah, pretty interesting. A lot of people have Geist of the Archives as one of the good uncommons, but
yeah, you get to scry every upkeep. It's a defender. It doesn't really let you advance yourself on the board, but it lets you manipulate your deck and dig to your good cards. All right. So there we see a Bloodbriar, a Chilling Grasp, Fiendbinder, Olivia Dragoon. Impetuous Devils get shifted to the top.
There's a Drag Under here.
There's
which
a Drag Under as well.
Probably the best blue-green Emerge card. Maybe Bloodbriar, but I think I'd rather have the bounce spell, the Drag Under. That said, it's kind of a dry pack. Impetuous Devils is a good card. It just doesn't combo particularly well with his first pick.
Lightning Light.
Yeah, sure. I mean, when you have a table of players this good, I think it's even more important to try to find the underdrafted color. Like, at some tables, you can kind of get away with sticking to your guns because, oh, sure, I got the second pick in this color but...
Can't you sit down at this table then and know that it's going to be black as an underdrafted color? The way, talking to all the pros yesterday, people just did not want to be black. I would assume that is a color. There's a Brazen Wolves, one of my favorite cards. One of my favorite commons in the set, just hits very hard. Gavinian Hallowed Haunted Dead. A premium card, but again, black, not a color people want to be in. Dawn Griff.
Yeah, he's looking at Brazen Wolves to the front. This is interesting. This is Luis looking at a very aggressive red deck. The Mini Ball Lightning, the Brazen Wolves, those are good cards.
So there you see Brazen Wolves, whenever it attacks, it gets +2. If you have some removal to back that up, that card can close a game out very quickly.
Yeah, 3-mana creature that attacks it as a 4-power, pretty good.
There's a Grapple with the Past, another Lupine Prototype. There's a Drogskull Shieldmate, an Exultant Cultist. If you're going to be, if he was thinking about that green-blue Emerge deck.
There's not a single red card in here.
And we haven't seen an Emerge card. Nothing has gotten past to him with the word Emerge on it. Thinks about a Midnight Scavengers there. He fainted for the Midnight Scavengers.
Well, it's nice. If you make Midnight Scavengers a priority, like the Graft Rats will come, and then you actually get the milled combo. Because nobody else really wants the Graft Rats.
But it looks like the grab that he goes for is Grapple with the Past there.
Wow.
Card that has broken out in Standard this weekend. All right. So Olivia Dragoons. Another Ironclad Slayer. Cemetery Recruitment and Unsubstantiate. Desperate Sentry. Prophetic Ravings. Primal Druid.
He moved into red because those were the best cards in Pack 2 and Pack 3, and now it's dry. His first pick was a green card. His fourth pick was kind of a bit of a reach of a green card. This draft is...
And now he takes a Primal Druid here.
This is not where he wants to be 5 picks into this draft. Starting to have some fevered visions, I think. Bad memories of the last time he sat down in Pod 1 and we watched him draft.
He went 2-1 in that draft.
Yeah, that draft turned out fine. He made that top 8.
All right, he's identified Make Mischief and Swift Spinner as cards. There's a Ride Down. That's a card Ben Stark did very well with yesterday. Had multiple copies of Ride Down in his first draft deck. Red-white's another color combination that people have been trying to avoid.
Right. Although Luis was red-white yesterday to end 3-0'd. So.
Make Mischief is the pick here. There you see. Do one damage to a creature or player, and then make a token. That's a devil token. More mischief. Yet more mischief. But there's also a Terrarion. And that's where you're like, sometimes your draft's not going well.
Might have to splash.
You start to think about the bombs you might open in packs 2 and 3.
Sure.
Off-color planeswalkers.
Yeah, and Make Mischief is fine, but it's not like you want to load up on as many as you can get your hands on.
Yeah. Terrarian also is a card that
Delirium
sacrifices, gives you Delirium, triggers for Bloodbriar if you end up with that card. So there is Borrowed Hostility, a premium red combat trick.
Yeah. Solid. Also, again, unspectacular, but solid.
There was a Swift Spinner that went by there, creature. Good flash, Spider.
Wow, where is he at right now? Is all his cards, does he even have a blue card? Or is he just red and green cards right now?
He is just red and green cards right now. There's a Woodland Patrol.
Yeah, a playable.
There's also a Turn-Aside, which he has shuffled to the front. He does not really have any.
Well, I think part of what's going on is that he has a lot of red spells.
Yeah.
I think he's probably thinking of sort of backing his way into blue-red spells from here.
Sure.
I mean, it's one of the live options in his head.
Well,
wow, the Midnight Scavengers came all the way back around.
There's also a Fortune's Favor, which is what he takes. So he is definitely looking at that blue-red spells deck.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Although we are getting down to the back of the pack where, a lot of the cards are probably not cards you want to be playing. There's a Wolfkin Bond, there's a Lupine Prototype, and he decides to take the Lupine Prototype. Card can be okay if you end up with a lot of fight effects.
Sure. Wow, this is...
Prophetic Ravings over Cemetery Recruitment. He took a Wailing Gull with the pick previous to that.
This has been a tough seat for Luis.
Yeah, Peace of Mind, the last pick.
Hasn't gotten a super strong signal at this point. He's done his best to situate himself. He's got blue, green, and red cards, right? He clearly wanted to be blue, green, emerge. Foul Emissary wants to be paired with emerge cards. Didn't see a single card with the word emerge printed on it at any point in the pack. Took a couple of red cards. Red looked open-ish. It didn't look wide open.
Nothing looked super wide open to me. I thought black looked open. There was definitely some black cards. Nothing amazing, but we saw Haunted Dead go late. We saw a couple of Gavany Hallowed as a medium pick. We saw Midnight Scavengers make its way all the way around the table. Right. So, but again, it wasn't premium black cards. It's not like we saw Murders flying around.
Right. Well, and we know, having watched Owen Turtenwald's draft, Owen first picked a Murder 2 to his right and then got out.
Okay.
So the Murder was sort of extracted from the draft pool, and then black was allowed to flow after that. I think Owen took a certain death as well before he finished abandoning it. So black is in fact open. We know from having watched 2 around.
So what are you thinking about here as Luis Scott-Vargas opens pack 2? Is this are we replaying pack 1 here? He's got a Foul Emissary scooped to the front. There's also a Thalia's Lancers in that pack. An Overwhelmed Captive. By the way, he passed an Overwhelmed Captive over Foul Emissary in his first pack, too.
Wow,
and a
Murder in this
Bloodbriar.
pack.
So 3 green cards.
Wow, can he move into black at this point? He has actual nothing. Spontaneous Mutations, a solid blue card. Foul.
He keeps coming back to that Foul Emissary.
Yeah, he does. That's where he wants to be. It just...
Foul Emissary is the
Foul
pick.
Emissary.
So Foul Emissary number 2. He has 2 Foul Emissaries. He also has a Primal Druid. So should he find an emerge card?
He knows he didn't pass anything green to his left. So like, whoever the guy on his right is,
Ben Stark.
It's Ben. The guy on.
Oh, I'm sorry. The guy on his left is Ben Stark. I'm not sure who's on his right.
It's Yuya, right? Yuya may have cut off green here, and Luis is like, "Thank you for cutting off green. Maybe I'll reap all the pack 2 rewards." It's at least a thought.
All right, there's an Incendiary Flow. That's a nice...
Very good card. Red is the color he has the most cards of. That seems like a solid pickup there. Two Foul Emissary, no emerge. It's not really an archetype.
Yeah, you see Luis get the pack. And he's really thinking, I would like a Mockery of Nature here. There's a Permeating Mass as a green card. There's a Swift Spinner. There's a Graph Rats. There's not really anything amazing green here. He puts the Permeating Mass to the front of the table. An interesting and complicated card that is capable of creating the weird board states that Luis Scott-Vargas is so fond of.
Sure.
Whenever it deals combat damage to a creature, that creature becomes a copy of Permeating Mass, and then when that Permeating Mass deals combat damage to a creature, it can become a copy of Permeating Mass. So things can get a little weird.
True story.
Someone would have to play Permeating Mass for that to actually happen. I haven't really seen it in play yet.
I mean, it's a 1-3 for 1. It's people have played 1-3s for 2.
There's a Hamlet Captain, yeah.
Solid card. Not that he has a ton of human synergy in his deck, but still, I mean, it's a good 2-drop, and even just a couple of humans starts to make it even better than a Grizzly Bear.
Seeing a lot of blue cards here in this pack.
The Laboratory Brute doesn't do anything for him. There's a Subjugator Angel, but he's not white. I think it's Hamlet Captain, right?
Yeah. So he's really like he obviously started out at this table thinking about drafting a sweet deck.
Yeah.
You know, he had with that Foul Emissary pick, but now I think he's looking at a classic, just curvy draft deck.
Sure. And I mean, that is definitely one of the things you can do in this format. You have a good curve, you have some removal spells, you play well, you can win. You don't have to have super strong synergies to win in this format. You can get away with having just good cards.
Yeah, and here's a good card that capable of winning a game for
Absolutely.
you. It can really finish things off. Vidlam Pack Outcast.
Yeah, red does look like the right color for him to be in his seat. I mean, I think he's found it's underdrafted on his left. It felt a little underdrafted on his right.
There you're going to look at the Outcast.
Pack Alpha,
Yeah.
Just a drag under floating a little late.
There's another Terrarian. There's an Abandoned Reason.
He doesn't really have much in the way of combat tricks so far. I mean, it's a 3-mana trick. It's hard to get max value and truly blow somebody out, but I mean, maybe. And even just winning one fight is worth a card.
He's still thinking about the bombs that could be in future packs.
Yeah, second Terrarion would give him the ability to splash almost anything. Okay, yeah, it's better than prioritizes that over a serviceable trick. He can probably get serviceable tricks at some point. 3 mana is kind of expensive.
So there's another Vildan Pack Outcast. There's a Borrowed Hostility. There's a Primal Druid. He's gonna take the Vildan Pack.
I figure if you watched Owen's draft, you didn't watch Owen's draft.
I did not know.
I'm thinking of a card that went through Owen's hands in Pack 3 that may wind up in Luis's deck. We'll see. Luis is either going to get a present in Pack 3, or he's going to have some words with Yuya after the draft.
Okay, there's a Bloodbriar.
Sure.
Plays nice with Terrarion even if you're just using your Terrarions to sort of cycle through your deck a little bit more.
Yeah, and he could easily wind up with some clues. Terrarion counts as a sacrifice. Clues count as a sacrifice. That's a solid pickup for this point in the pack for sure. I mean, a 2/3 body for 3, again, not exciting, but perfectly serviceable.
Yeah, no, that was interesting. So now I think we have a plan for Luis here in this draft. It's to get to transforming a Vildan Pack Outcast and just rumbling over his opponent's side of the board.
Yeah, I mean, he's red-green good stuff, essentially.
Right.
Almost a werewolf theme. He's a couple of werewolves, but not enough that you'd call it a theme, not enough that he can get paid off for synergy cards, I don't think.
So just winding down the pack here. Takes a Disenchant Effect, the Spring Sage Ritual.
For me, it feels like Luis has done probably the best he could with a super awkward situation.
Swift Spinner came back around the table for him there. Sure. It's a nice little creature. Eat a Flyer, combat tricky.
Yeah, I don't know how he could have done better than this.
Yeah, there's a Crossroads Consecrator.
I mean, to get on a different path, you'd have to go all the way back to that second pick where he moved into red. Like, I don't know, there may have been other paths there. I don't think the first pick Murder in Pack 2 would have worked out.
The 2 picks that are interesting to me are, I mean, obviously he wanted the Emerge strategy, and that was something he was valuing highly.
Sure.
But there was an Uvenwald Captive in both of those packs that competed with the Foul Emissary that, I wonder what his deck looks like with a little bit of that mana ramp and that ability to have another creature in the mid to late game that's pretty big. So here we take a look at his cards.
How's his curve? Because he's got a pile of, he's got a pile of decent red and green cards. Is it a deck? Is he able to come out aggressively, remove some blockers, and smash over? A lot of 3s. It's not a lot of 2-drops.
He definitely needs some 2s. He's looking at the
Lupine prototype.
Lupine prototype. He's like, that's not the 2 I'm looking for.
Yeah, there's the Hamlet Captain at 2, but I think that might be the only human in his deck. Yeah. All right, let's see if Pack 3 has any presence. 2 Terrarions does give him the ability to draft bombs.
Thinking about maybe like a Hinterland Logger here, something along those lines, just to fill out his curve. you know,
I'm thinking about
sanguinary
Arlen
mage.
Cord. That's what I'm thinking about. How about Arlen Cord? Cold Planeswalker one time.
All right. Well, there's a Fiery Temper. You know, it does not really have any, I don't believe it has any discard outlets, but still a fine spell at 3. There's also a Briar Bridge Patrol in there as a 4-drop.
You take the Fiery Temper. 3 mana, deal 3, instant, in.
Kindly Stranger in the pack, Sleep Paralysis,
Folly is Lieutenant in the back if he'd been human somehow.
Wow. All right. Fiery Temper is the clear pick.
Solid removal spell. He's got a couple ways to deal damage. Curve.
And now, you know, so has to think a little bit, you know, maybe wants to pick up a Madness outlet if he can find one somewhere along the way.
Yeah, if it's free. It's not like he's got a bunch of Madness, but I think it might even be just that Fiery Temper so far.
Well, there's a Tormenting Voice. There's a Dance with Devils. There's a Convicted Killer. And a Clip Wings, I think, are the only cards in his color here. Again, remember, he can splash pretty easily with two Terrarians. By the way, it's actually Reed passing.
Oh, okay. It's Owen passing to Reed, passing to Luis.
Yes.
Got it. Tormenting Voice counts as a 2-drop, by the way.
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of draws, you're happy to just discard the thing that doesn't fit and draw a couple cards, set yourself up. I think he's leaning in that Tormenting Voice due to curve considerations. Dance with Devils, probably a better card. Does ultimately elect to go for the power. Fair enough.
There you see Dance with Devils.
Yeah, it's enough better.
Watcher in the Wet. Pack Guardian.
Wow.
Gold Knight Castigator, Gloom Widow.
Yeah, Gold Knight Castigator is fine. It's no Pack Guardian. This is one of the best uncommons in the set. Super powerful card. Flash gives you the ability to eat your opponent's creature. You know, card advantage. Well, going wide with that extra wolf. That's a nice jolt of power sitting in Luis's deck. Jeez. All right. Can this pack
I guess
stay
green
this
wasn't
good?
being cut off in the first pack. It might just not have been there.
That's true. That's a good point.
All right,
there she is. Arlen Cord, 4th pick?
That is 4th pick.
4th pick, Arlen Cord. He goes from one of the best uncommons in Shadows over Innistrad for his deck into a mythic rare Planeswalker in both his colors.
Yeah, and you know, interestingly, if he could have splat off 2 Terrarians, he still could have almost any Planeswalker there.
True.
He could have taken, but this is perfect.
Well, this is the one you can get past 4th pick too, because only red-green players can really take it. Wow.
And those, you know, getting +2/+2 and Vigilance on a Vidland Pack Outcast, pretty exciting. Giving your creatures +1/+1 and trample until end of turn, very exciting in a deck like that's going to have some beefy creatures. There you see Incorrigible Youths.
Or Briar Bridge
Patrol. Again, without the Madness outlets, that Incorrigible Youths is always a 5-drop.
Right.
He already has 2 Outcasts in that slot.
Yeah, so the Patrol. Makes sense. Wow, this pack is going great.
And by the way, he has Bloodbriars. So if he can get a couple clues off of a Briar Bridge Patrol, he can actually make his Bloodbriars go large.
That's a great point.
Doesn't really have any other way to generate a clue.
And this draft looked so bad at the end of pack 1. But you know what he did in pack 1? He found the underdrafted colors. He's like, all right, what is Reed passing me? What is Owen cutting off on my right? Where do I want to be? And his actual card quality was very meh.
He also didn't panic.
True, right. He moved in, he's like, all right, I get green. He kept his options open, right? He could have been blue-red spells he was clearly dabbling with some late blue pickups in that first pack. He could still open Emerge and get to blue-green Emerge. And he kind of rounded up red-green, which is not really anybody's favorite archetype, but it's booster draft. If those are the colors, it's a solid Ravenous Bloodseeker here.
Yeah,
wow.
you see a Ravenous Bloodseeker.
Madness Enabler, too.
Oh, yep.
It's a 2-drop, which is kind of what he wants. He's got a couple Madness cards now. Maybe it's just the one. That's a solid pickup. But anyway, he kind of was in 3 colors with some flexibility. I think he's in his least favorite of that triangle, right? Red, green, blue. But that's what the draft said to do. And oh my God, did he get rewarded in this pack 3.
Yeah, there's an Aim High, a Groundskeeper, and a Warped Landscape here. He looks like he's thinking about that Warped Landscape. And he does take that.
He really went 3rd pick Pack Guardian into 4th pick Arlen Cord.
He really did. He really did. Something you could never have imagined happening in Triple Shadows. There's a late rush of adrenaline, another little combat trick.
Yeah, we said, now he gets a 1-mana combat trick. We were talking earlier about the 3-mana combat tricks. 1 mana is where you want to be with your combat tricks. You can do the trick, win the fight, and then still add a creature to the board post-combat. That's definitely how you want to draw it up. Boy, this Shadows pack just brought his entire deck together.
And there's Tormenting Voice.
Came
that was
back,
a card he was considering taking out of that pack first pick.
He was. Wow. Jeez.
So got two drops in this in this set of packs. There's the Gold Knight Castigator back on the table. There's also a Magmatic Insight, which
Chasm.
Magmatic Chasm. Yeah, sorry, which can be a finisher for him here, but I think he's going to take the Castigator. Flying Haste for 4 mana, hard to argue with.
What a roller coaster. And yeah, you're right, he didn't panic. Like, the fevered visions from last Pro Tour had to be going through his head halfway through pack 1, 2/3 of the way through pack 1, reviewing pack 1. And yeah, he just, and even the beginning of pack 2 didn't look good. But he pulled it together. Again,
he was taking green cards, but he was taking green cards for a very specific strategy. I mean, Foul Emissary is still fine, but you really want that in an Emerge deck.
Right.
We didn't see any Emerge cards.
He never held a card with the word Emerge printed on it at no point in the draft.
It just wasn't there. So you really see a little bit of maybe even a shift in the room from the start of yesterday to the start of today in terms of how highly the Emerge cards are being prioritized here.
Right. Wow, so, that was an interesting draft.
So give me a grade on the draft deck.
I mean, I think the deck's B+, maybe even A-.
Okay, and how about how he drafted his seat?
A, absolute A. Loved what Luis did there. That was a pleasure to watch.
All right. Well, that was the draft. There's still 3 rounds of action to go, and we're getting ready to send it there. But first, let's go back to the news desk and Rich Hagon.